Okay, Chair.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to welcome to Ethical Standards and Member Development Committee, which is being live streamed. My name is Councillor Ahmed, and I'm the Vice Chair of the committee. Please can all attendees mute their microphones unless they have been invited to speak. If anyone wishes to speak, please use the raise hands feature or send a message using the chat feature, and I will invite you to turn on your microphone at the appropriate point. When you are finished speaking, please remember to turn off your microphone again. Firstly, can I all members of committee please introduce themselves in turn? Councillor Bostan Ahmed. Bostan is not here, I think. Hasn't come in yet. Councillor Delu. Nope. Okay, last is here, but
Me.
can you introduce yourself, Baba?
Yeah, you calling me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Councillor Dalu, member of the committee.
Thank you, Bob. Councillor Havikan, I think she sent an apology. I think she's not here. Okay, Councillor Pete.
Councillor Peter Hughes, Wednesbury North, and member of the committee.
Thank you, Pete. Councillor Horton. Linda.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Linda Horton, a representative for Snelly Court and member of the committee.
Thank you. Councillor Mabina.
Councillor Teresa Mabina, member of the committee.
That's good, thank you. And Councillor Sims, I think I sent an apologies. And 1 second, thank you very much. And we are from members. Phil, introduce yourself, please.
Hello there, Councillor Ahmed. My name is Phil Challoner and I'm the Civic and Member Services Manager.
Thank you. Shane. I think everybody knows Tricia.
Thank you, Chair. Tricia Newton, Democratic Services.
Thank you. And Sergit, everybody knows, I think. And you got Maria.
Good afternoon, everybody. Maria Price. I'm Sergit's Deputy Monitor.
Thank you. And Sergit.
Okay. Better Law Governance and Monitoring Officer.
Thank you. Elaine, is it here? No? Elaine's here, yeah, I can see someone. Elaine is here, I think it was one. Oh, Elaine is here. Oh, Elaine.
I'm Elaine Newsom. I'm the Service Manager for Democracy.
Thank you. I think I haven't missed anybody. It's just a shame at the moment she hasn't come back. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for that. I think we got John. John, too, independent person.
He's not joined us yet, Chair.
There's a couple of members still haven't joined us yet. Okay, no problem. I think Richard has sent us apologies in, I think. Okay, let's now move to the agenda. Apologies for absence we have.
Councillor Havikan, Councillor Sims and Mr Phillips, independent person.
Any members to declare an interest in matters to be discussed at the meeting?
No.
No, thank you, everybody. Okay, item agenda number 3, minutes. Minutes that are held on 25th September 2020 are presented. I'll move them as a track record.
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Linda. Pete, you want to raise anything there?
I did ask for my objection to be noted in the recommendation. I mean, it's been alluded to. I'm talking about 3820 now, the appointments of the subcommittees. It's alluded to in paragraph 3. Concern was expressed that appointments to the committee had been approved by the emergency committee and not for council. I'm not named in that, and I was prepared to be named. And when it came to the actual recommendation, I did say that I wanted that minuted, that although I was agreeing to the new subcommittees, that I objected to the fact that it had been done this way. So I do want the minutes amended to indicate that it's what I requested at the time, and I wasn't told it couldn't be minuted that way. So I want it in the as part of the recommendation that.
That's fine.
That I was against.
We can make those amendments, Chair.
Thank you, Sergey. Thank you, Pete. So everybody happy with the rest of the minutes? Everybody, yeah? Everybody in agreement? Thank you. Okay, let's move to item agenda number 4. Any additional items of business? Sergey, anything? There's any additional items of business? Anything we know?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, item agenda number 5, a review of the member code of conduct agreement standards working group update. Can I ask Sergey to present the report, please, on this?
Yes, Chair. This is just a standing item now whilst we are in the process of undertaking that review into the ethical framework. A number of members obviously are on the working group as we are making the necessary arrangements to engage with members as part of that particular review. So this is just really an opportunity for the committee itself to be brought up to speed for particularly those members who are not part of the working group, and if there's any particular questions and queries that this particular committee wishes to then address, we can obviously take those back as part of the working group and ensure that they're addressed as part of the ethical framework review. So in essence, Chair, just by way of updates, members would have received the communication. We have created a particular template so that it's identifiable quickly for members that communications that we send out in relation to the review, they will see it from the header that it relates to that particular review. And what we have sent out to members is details as to the 5 themed areas that the review will focus on, along with the sessions that have been arranged in relation to each of those themes. And as requested by the working group, we've looked to ensure that there's morning, afternoon sessions as well as an evening session, and looked to at least have those sessions spread over 2 days, so that we can hopefully ensure that members' availability is maximised and members have the opportunity to attend at least one of each of those sessions. And they only do need to attend one of those sessions because we are repeating effectively each session 3 times. And the purpose of the sessions are to gather that insight, is to really kickstart that conversation with members in terms of looking at the codes, looking at our arrangements, looking at the model code that the LGA have approved yesterday, which is also either it has been already circulated to members or it will be by close of play today, so that we can have that informed conversation and discussion with members as part of the engagement sessions. We'll also look at the duty to promote and maintain high standards of conduct. And what we'll then do as part of the exercise is gather that insight and at the start of the new year, feed all that back to the working group so that you can consider what changes, proposals that the working group wishes to put forward to this committee with onward recommendations to full council. In addition to the sessions, we are also going to be making available a survey, which we are proposing to launch and share with members on Friday the 11th. And that's to enable members to contribute if they are unable to attend either one or more of the sessions. They do have an alternative way of feeding into the information gathering exercise or the insight gathering exercise. So we're on track as we anticipated in terms of the timetable, and the survey itself will conclude, I should say, on the 31st of December. So as planned, by the end of this calendar year, the information gathering exercise phase of the review would have been completed. It enables you then to, as I say, analyse what feedback we get from members with a view then to consider what proposals or changes are appropriate. And if there's other further engagement or the discussions that we need with members, obviously we can factor those in as part of the discussions in the new year. But yeah, that was in essence the update I was going to give this afternoon. Happy to take any further questions if there are.
That's good, thank you. Just a comment on that. I mean, so just for some of the members which haven't been as in other group. I mean, we are come to some sort of, as I said, decision. Emails that dates have been went out today. I think yesterday they start coming in, and I'll put my name down. First session which I can do in the morning. But I think it's for everybody. And what we'll do now. I mean, if you can do other time at the end of this meeting, we can show all of you guys the process they're going to be doing, how they're going to be, doing the consultation, and they're using this special key, or what's the word for it, Mentimeter or whatever it is word. Mentimeter, I'm afraid that's the word it's called, and the process, and hopefully we can show you then if you got about 5-10 minutes. So anybody have any questions? Please go hand up, Pete.
It's not a question, it's a point really. This is a very important issue for every person that's a member of the council. Code of conduct and standards is key to the issue that Samuel has been having over several years, and whilst I wouldn't not necessarily say it needs to be compulsory, I think the message needs to go out from yourself and probably the deputy leader to indicate that it is an important issue, and that people should do what they can to actually attend these sessions. As you're saying, you're giving enough chance for people to actually attend, and you're also giving a sort of mop-up session at the end as well. I think there should be some degree of encouragement there rather than compulsion. I think it's an important issue, and people should be taking the opportunity to partake in it.
Thank you, Pete, for that. I mean, as you've seen, about a few days ago now, there was an email from my staff went out to everybody basically that will be starting this process consultation, and which is for benefit for everybody, to be honest with you. It's not just for a few individuals, it's for everybody to participate and give their point of views, and I think that's the way forward. It has always been, and that will give us something, as I said, as a code of conduct, which we're going to follow, and for the next 3-4 years, probably 4 or 5 years, probably until something new pops up or anything like LGA comes up with something new. So it's something like those kind of things. I think it's very important that everybody participates. But as you said, we'll get another email out from myself or from the deputy leader or anybody, and then make sure we encourage everybody to attend. John, thank you for attending. Pete, John, you want to say anything? John, you're on mute at the moment, mate. John.
No, I'm fine. Apologies for being late. I've had to use a different tablet.
No problem. Thank you, John. Just to be on item number 4, I think at the moment 5. Sorry, review of conduct. So it's giving updates starting on that. If there's any questions or anything like that. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you for joining. Anybody have any questions? Sergit?
Yes, Chair, just on that last point, we'll probably have a better handle and some more detail, I guess, in terms of the take-up and the bookings that members make, obviously, onto the sessions. And so we will monitor that. And if we are not getting the take-up that we envisage, then we'll prepare another communication for you. And as Councillor Hughes has said, ask Councillor Crompton to also help encourage individuals to get themselves onto the session. So we will send a reminder if we feel that the level of take-up is not as great as we would have hoped or anticipated.
Thank you. Thank you, Sergit. Any other comments or questions regarding this issue? Nope. Thank you for that, Sergit and everybody else. Okay. Item number 6 then, please. Update on phase 2 of member development program, including implementation of my councillor portal, member portal. Well, what can I say? I've been taking part in it myself. I have put some reports in there as well, and I think it's quite good. We can do some improvement on it, and I can ask Phil to come in and give some briefing on that, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ahmed. Yes, the primary purpose of this report is to give an update on the member development, and for this purpose we're calling it phase 2 because it really commences more in next year than this year, and also to give that update on the My Councillor portal now the pilot has concluded. As I've always said in every committee report that's ever gone to this committee, the member development programme has continually been designed and led by elected members, and you'll recall in the last report that phase 1 had to conclude prematurely due to the outbreak of the pandemic, but all the scheduled essential and requested learning was delivered, and any additional learning interventions were also factored in. It also was at the same time that personal development plan meetings were taking place with elected members, so we were able to learn lessons from phase 1 and also factor in those comments that came from those PDPs. It's fair to say that the current pandemic has had an effect on the implementation of phase 2 of the member development programme, but we have actually managed to switch quite comfortably to virtual or an online learning provision, which, as I say in the report, has been adapted well by members who have participated in it. An example of this has been the Artemis online learning, which has featured many modules that actually do correlate with the current pandemic and lockdown that many of our Sandwell residents are having to face at the moment. And we've had 3 particular modules that have been particularly useful, one around domestic violence and abuse, one around adverse child experiences, and one around poverty. And there is also a new module that's coming out shortly on healthy outcomes, which is at the testing stage at the moment, but looks again fit for purpose with regards to some of the issues that we're all facing. And I would definitely encourage all members to try and participate in those modules. We've had reasonably good take-up probably during July and August when we were really pushing it, but that take-up has lessened somewhat, so I would really ask this committee to endorse the Artemis online learning. I do recall, and I'm looking at Councillor Horton's face here, that there were a few issues with Artemis, but I think in your case, Councillor Horton, they were resolved, or at least Jenny Tarrant from Artemis was able to talk you through some of the issues that you've been facing. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes, and I actually completed 2 of the training sessions online.
Thank you, Councillor Horton. There are other obviously modules as well, child sexual exploitation, others again that I would recommend that again all members participate in, especially as we're currently still in a lockdown situation, and of course the move to classroom training is some way off for us. One of the good things I suppose about members receiving so much training on MS Teams is that it's increased the familiarity with the actual platform, and this has enabled us to bring in some further online learning. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Councillor Peter Hughes, because he was the one that highlighted how important it was members attended the IACT Managing and Promoting Positive Mental Health and Wellbeing. That was attended in September and October by 17 members, and we had some immensely positive and constructive feedback, again primarily from Councillor Hughes, which is meaning that we're scheduling further sessions of that in January and February 2021, and I have sent a reminder out today, I think, to that effect. And the reason why that's been quite useful feedback is that we've been able to split what was a fairly lengthy session, thanks to Councillor Hughes' comments, into 2 separate sessions, so we're holding 2 courses to cover that. The report also details some of the courses that we've been asked to provide, one around understanding extremism, which is taking place in just under 2 weeks, and again all members will be invited to that. I can take questions at this stage. I notice Councillor Dallow's hands up.
Yes, Bawdale. Hello, Bawa. You're probably on mute.
Yeah, although we are trying to get used to my council portal, but there is always something come up. It's very difficult. All those columns, like bin collection, wonder cards, street lighting. There is always something. Like if I can give you a little example, other plenty, but I can give you one only. I don't want to bore with that. I received a call from my constituent 9:15 at night. He said that there is a gentleman sitting outside. I tried the police. I tried the homeless section. Police, no response. Homeless section, there's nothing, but got no response either, right? And then in the end, he was so upset, he called me at about 9:15 or just 9:15 at night. I said, my God, what shall I do? My council portal I can't use because the thing is not in that area. So, but I tried the housing officer, no response. Then I tried the housing manager of High Street and send her an email, and she responds back that I have forwarded your complaint, right? And a few days after, but every day he complained, he's still there, he's still there. Then he cleverly start moving during the day, come back at night. So these sort of things do not come under my council portal, because the thing, if you do try, right, a triad, and then it says 10 days you got to the, because that gentleman, if nothing happened, I'll go to the press. these sort of things keep coming up. If you're trying to sort one, there is another one coming. Thank you, Chairman.
No problem. I mean, let's Phil come in first before I come in. Anyway. Go on, Phil.
We've been, as I'll come to later on in the report, Councillor Ahmed, we are actually taking all feedback on the My Councillor portal. It's fair to say that no system is applicable, and obviously it doesn't sort of have a clock that switches on and off. It's a system that obviously takes issues and casework on when it's loaded on. Anything that fits outside of that would either be classed as an emergency situation or something that would have to be picked up at another time. The Councillor Dallow makes a very fair point, and this is something obviously as part of the hiatus while we now sort the actual system out fully and get the functionality working as best as we possibly can, that will happen over the forthcoming weeks, and I'll come on to that in a bit if I may, but certainly there are certain things that the system will be able to do, and there are certain things sadly the system it's impossible for the system to be able to deal with. It's simply because, as Councillor Dallow pointed out, the timing sometimes of when these queries come in, but there are obviously out of hours measures in place in certain directorates and departments that can deal with that. So if I may carry on, Councillor Ahmed, if that's okay.
That's
with you.
fine, no problem, that's fine.
Thank you. So I was mentioning that the 15th of December we have an understanding extremism course that's taking place. We also are consistently signposting elected members to any LGRU or LGA sites, including West Midlands employers as well, for various courses that may be available to them. And one exciting piece of news, I suppose, is that from Monday next week, there's going to be a rollout of some Mindset e-learning self-coaching modules. They're available for staff and elected members, and this will be done in a phased approach from Monday. The first 4 modules available will be around well-being, resilience, mindfulness and thriving during isolation, which I know some members may have accessed in the early stages of the first lockdown. And this will be followed in the new year by additional modules that will total 25 that will be rolled out probably during 2021 in total. But this is quite exciting, and it gives the opportunity for members to access, again, as an online piece of learning, some extremely good modules. I can say that with some honesty because I've road tested many of them myself, and they're particularly useful. And we're trying to roll them out in such a way that they'll be useful depending on where we're at in terms of our learning and our needs at the moment. And I think those 4 that I've just mentioned are particularly useful while members and staff are in lockdown. So look out for that, please, next week. There's some additional planned member development activity that's going to be taking place, and this came largely out of the personal development plan meetings. A lot is around the ICT upskilling, which you'd expect a lot of members to be raising at the moment, particularly as we are going to move towards a full rollout of the portal at some stage. Issues around chairing meetings, public speaking, social media, and again, we need to keep this on the anvil, additional wellbeing and personal safety training, which is often in the members' eyesight, so we do need to make sure that that's going to be available. And one of the things that we're formulating at the moment is a training plan to be offered to members from early 2021. We're currently in consultation with internal and external learning providers on that. Some of the essential core learning that members will be used to having around licensing, around planning, etc., and obviously code of conduct, which we've mentioned, will feature heavily in that training plan. Although members did make a point during the PDPs that it may not be required every single year, but maybe at 3 yearly intervals, but it's absolutely essential that newly elected members in 2021 receive this training. That will depend, of course, whether there are any changes in legislation or guidelines, which would then mean that they'd have to have it on more of a yearly basis. This week we sent out a member bulletin. Councillor Armour did the opening message for it, and that member bulletin was full of details that I'm referring to now, actually, and those again will be periodically sent out, as will other future communications, as we try and remind members to use as much of the online learning that's available at the moment. And obviously the My Councillor portal remains a priority for phase 2. Because of the need to make sure that members have the confidence, skills and knowledge to be able to use it. But we will continue to carry out external research with learning providers and make them available to members where appropriate. Work is underway with colleagues in democracy around things such as cabinet member induction guides, newly elected member induction guides. So this is where the 2 areas are working together under a lane service area to make sure that we've got things that are joined up and are clear. So that's what we're doing in terms of phase 2, Chair, the My Councillor portal design and pilot, if I can come to that now. Again, it's been designed primarily on feedback from members. It's a personalised portal, as I've said in the report, that's very much got an inbuilt casework management system, but it's not just about casework. It also allows them to signpost to other areas that is useful in places like surgeries, where they can look at crime maps, antisocial behaviour updates, etc. And one of the key priorities emerging was the need to focus on learning, understanding, confidence and support requirements. So at the very beginning, a series of portal demonstrations took place. You may have been part of that at the very beginning. And we ended up having a pilot group of 14 elected members. Some are obviously on this committee, as you said earlier. And we made sure that the pilot group was representative of members with varying IT skills and abilities. That was deliberate. And the pilot began on the 5th of October and was initially going to run for 6 weeks. Now, in the report, it does detail some of the reasons why we had to extend that pilot, and some of it was around a slow take up to the pilot originally. And the fact as well, which is one of the most important things for me, was the fact that we were able to make ongoing improvements whilst the pilot was taking place. So there are a number of issues similar to the ones Councillor Dallow has raised. We had a lot through from other councillors as well, including Councillor Hughes, Councillor Moore and others, that raised a lot of issues. And we're pleased to be able to say that over 3/4 of those issues were actually addressed during the actual pilot period, which is extremely encouraging. And we were able to go back to members and turn around and say where those improvements had been made. But the pilot was extended till the 27th of November, and that was mainly to ensure that we had enough feedback, not only in the areas of casework, but also in the areas of navigation and other functionality. And one of the good things I can say is that there was over, I think I've got the information here, there was over 113 issues recorded in the end, and 78% were either closed or resolved following development or other interventions. We've got about 15% of those queries that are still open, and we're dealing with those as we speak. Some of those are, for example, in the areas of how we can improve the way safeguarding issues are actioned, improving the functionality so casework can be picked up by others in the case that where services are failing to respond due to leave or sickness. And also there are a few functional issues that we're having to work with the supplier of the system on, and that's what we're going to be doing obviously over the course of the next few weeks. We tried to make sure that there was scheduled training sessions, user guides, videos, digital skills analysis. We also spent approximately 12 hours of one-to-one support with members that required it to help them understand the platform. And now the digital transformation team and civic and member services are in the process, literally from next week, of analysing all the feedback that we've had from the pilot, so we can get on basically with making sure that it has that additional functionality. And we're hoping, as it says in the report here, to make those adjustments over the next 6 to 8 weeks or so we can start a phased rollout early in 2021. This will be preceded, of course, by extensive training. It needs to be tailored to the skill set of individual members. We've learnt a lot from having that differing skill on the pilot. So as the report details, we've got a sort of timeline in place for when the pilot will, from when the actual next phase of the portal will commence. And we're hoping to start as early as late January, early February in terms of a pre-portal launch, etc. But obviously that's caveated, as I've said in the report, by any scoping changes or requirements that the portal needs. We need to make sure that it is fit for purpose when it starts, as you'll understand, but we will keep this committee involved at every stage of that before it's fully launched. I'm happy to take questions at this point, Chair, or take any comments or observations from anyone.
Yeah, just before I bring Bauer's hand up, before I bring Bauer in, just a comment on it. I mean, when I was part of the scrutiny board a few years back, there's always questions used to be raised regarding when we submit any, reports or any constituents' issues or concerns through my portal or through offices and all that. They always used to get, some of them used to get lost, and we know used to come back to us. So I think this is a good portal we got. At least we can go up there, check it, what the comments are. If you're not happy about it, we can raise it to next level. So which I did one of the things I raised as well, reported. So this is in that sense, what what I've been, from my point of view, which we've been discussing in scrutiny boards 4 or 5 years back, probably, we need something, where we can look into anything issues we raise, and that nobody comes back. And I think it's a good way for moving on in this new portal. Ahmed is here with us as well. Ahmed joined us about 10-15 minutes ago. So let's bring Bawa in first. Bawa.
Thank you, Chairman. I forgot to mention in that report that the officer from 2 departments did go to try to move in. He don't want to go. Now he sits between the 2 cars. That's that. Another thing is, when we just start, I did mention to IT man that they're trying to make the things simple. Like, I can give you one example. Street lights. It was mentioned street light, the name of the road, the postcode, and that's it. And it says keep coming, where it is, photograph in front of which building, right? Rather than prolonging these things, simple thing, because when we used to report the street lights before, you simple has to give the number of the lamppost, simple as that, it was done. So now this one, they want the photograph, this one, all this. Simple thing is, once somebody report, put the postcode in with the street, right, and whereabout, and also they did mention a whereabout in the street. When the postcode is given, right, and it was told, sorry, also forgot, it was told that it will be the such and such, also 37, 39, for example. They still want to do these photographs in front of which building. There no need to prolong all these things. It make it very easier for the member. It should be made simple as that. Postcode, address, and just where it is. Yes, simple as that. No photograph, no nothing like this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Bawa. Thank you. Would have been, I don't know, Bawa, I know we're on official meeting, but did you put in these comments in my portal, the summary?
I did mention to the man, the one we were practicing, I did mention to the IT man at that time. He said, yes, it should be right. I don't know whether he took it to the office yet or not.
No, they must have. Before I bring you in, Ahmed.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much to Phil and all the teams that have been involved in developing this. I remember trialing this, I think before the lockdown, and I had a quick test with it. I popped into the council house and spent about 15-20 minutes with colleagues in IT and found it to be quite effective for someone like me who, because of the software I use, I can't use the current portal we have, but actually the new one that's been developed I can use. A question that I had though was in relation to how the rollout is actually going to take place. So early 2021, Phil mentioned, but are councillors that were involved in the trial period still involved? Because I didn't actually hear anything after I went for my for my trial of this portal actually. So it would be nice to remain involved and for me to actually start using it, because at the moment I have to send my casework directly to the neighbourhood officer, or if I know a specific officer, then to them via email. I'm not able to use the portal. So would it be possible to remain involved in that particular trial so I may assist in terms of accessibility moving forward? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ahmed. Phil, you want to take these 2 questions, Bawa, before I bring Pete?
Absolutely. Well, it's clear that I've got the information. I mean, Councillor Dallow has been very, very clear on sort of his requirements here, and I've got a meeting on Tuesday next week as part of the beginning of the analysis of the feedback that we've had. And I can certainly, if that's not been articulated by the IT person that Councillor Dallow spoke to, I'll ensure that I make sure that the digital transformation team are aware of Councillor Dallow's request. That goes without saying. And to answer Councillor Bostan, what we've had to do, we had a pilot with 14 members on it, and that was deemed to be enough in terms of being able to start the pilot process off. There were members of this committee obviously invited to attend that, but what I will say is that we can make sure, or we can ensure, that when we've improved the functionality of it after the feedback of the pilot, we can include you in the first tranche of when we actually roll it out, Councillor Bostan. That will be beneficial to both parties, I believe.
Thank you, Pete. Oh, Ahmed, do you want to come back in or? Sorry, Pete, one second.
Yes, thanks very much, Chair. Just a very quick follow-up that I forgot to mention. With regards to the member development program, absolutely brilliant. I've been really impressed since being elected back in 2019, how comprehensive the program's been. However, since we've been in and out of various lockdowns and obviously now doing everything online, would it be possible for us to have more sessions like the one we have next week with regards to counter-extremism, actually as a run-through session, like a meeting? That would work far better for me, because I've had trouble in trying to access some of the Artemis stuff online. So I wondered whether it'd be possible, particularly for the most important modules that are there and that are pivotal to get done ASAP, like, for example, domestic violence and abuse, which is obviously an increasingly big problem during this lockdown. Would it be possible for us to have more of these sessions as an actual meeting where we run through, as we did prior to the lockdown physically, but this time through Microsoft Teams? Thank you.
If I can respond, Councillor Ahmed, yes, the simple answer to that is yes, Councillor Boston. The part of the training plan that we're trying to pull together is to give a bit of a mix and match approach. I mean, there are a lot of people that do actually like the online learning, and I'm sorry to hear that you're experiencing some problems with Artemis, and I'm happy to take that offline with you with regards to talking to the Artemis team on how we could possibly improve that for you. But in terms of working with the internal and external providers, what we are trying to do is, obviously, because we can't have classroom-based learning at the moment, we're trying to make sure that they're aware of the needs of being able to produce the training that they've done in the past in a more virtual online session. And that's one of the reasons why we've been pleased about having the facilitators come forward on the Understanding Extremism course that's happening on the 15th. But there's also internal providers that have been requesting to come forward and do sessions in a similar way on things such as climate change next year, which I didn't mention earlier on, but those are the things that are on the anvil for the training plan for 2021. So your request is certainly being taken on board, Councillor Boston.
I'm grateful, Phil. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Pete. Pete? Hello, hi, Pete.
Yep. Yes, I think my council portal is worth sort of persevering with. It's come to some councillors better than others, and I'd agree with Councillor Dallow. It doesn't fit everything. I think multi-departmental inquiries, for instance, are a bit of a difficulty in how that's tracked, and also inquiries which actually spread from inside the council to outside, where you expect partnership working, and that's what the name of the game is, isn't it? Working with partners. But I think Councillor Dallow also mentioned photographs. Sometimes a photograph can be more than 1,000 words, and what I've found is that the initial portal didn't allow for photographs. In other words, where you're trying to put an inquiry in relation to basic services, you're not able to put a photograph in on that, but you are on the new aspect of the portal. So I find it a bit frustrating that you can't put a photograph, for instance, to show an example of fly tipping that you've seen. When you're trying to explain what a fly tipping mound looks like and what's likely to be in it, it would be easier to have a photograph that shows it than trying to describe. But that's exactly what you're being asked to do. So I think if the initial portal could be slightly adapted to allow what the new councillor portal facilitates, the photographs, I think that would be better. But I think it's worth persevering with. I think councillors have got to get used to it, whether they like it or not. But it's not a be all and end all either. IT doesn't cover everything.
Thank you, Pete.
Yeah.
Thank you. Phil, before you come in there, I got Bawal and Linda as well coming in. Just giving on the photos now, for example, now. I mean, as I said, I've been trying this as well now, part of it. There was one box electric route. I put I think three different roads. And for some reason, they closed all those cases. They said, look, it's all right. It isn't needed at the moment. And some of them, 2-3 were already done. So one of them, it wasn't done. So when I went back, had a look at it. So I took a photo basically and uploaded the next level. And they're looking into it now. So photos help. So you don't have to put photo all the time, but photos do help. Let's bring in Baba again. Baba, I think he's got a hand up before we bring Phil. Baba?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, the officers used to move the fly tipping before the council portal come into being. If they can do it before, now why can't they do it now without the photograph? I can't understand what Councillor Hughes are saying, that we should have a photograph. I think we got expert, very expert officers, and they know how to deal with, and they dealt with in the past, and they can deal with in future. Thank you.
No problem. Good. Before bringing Linda.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question to Phil, really. I have been using the portal recently, much to my surprise, and I put one in a few days ago, and it was for private sector housing. And I asked, when it says, what do you want us to do? I asked that somebody ring the person who'd rung me, the constituent, but then to let me know what was happening. Now, I found out at lunchtime today that allegedly somebody has rung the constituent, who is an elderly 80-year-old man, didn't leave a name and phone number, but said that he was ringing him about a complaint that he'd made, and he will ring him back in a couple of days. So the constituent has rung me to see if I asked him to ring, and I said yes. And he said, well, can you give me his phone number so that I can ring him? Because I've just, a couple of days ago, he said, I've had a scam where somebody's tried to take money out of my bank, and I don't want the same thing happening again. But through the portal, nobody has come back to me, and I'm not sure how to do the tracking to see where it's gone. And I wondered if you could help me with that, either now or outside of the meeting.
Thank you, Linda. Phil?
Thank you, Chair. The simple answer to your question, Councillor Horton, is that this, one of the primary reasons why the My Councillor portal has been sort of invented, and some of the reasons why members came forward with some of the adjustments that they needed in it, because they weren't getting the comeback that they needed from the My Sandwell portal, which is now part of the My Councillor portal system, basically. But in terms of answering your question for the My Sandwell portal, I will take that back to the digital transformation team on Tuesday and get someone to contact you directly to talk you through the system and why that isn't happening. But certainly with regards to the My Councillor portal, that's one of the main adjustments that was requested. I think it was about 27, 28 requirements they wanted in a portal, and one was to actually have that feature in it. So you'll be pleasantly surprised when you do use the My Councillor portal, even when it's fully enhanced, that will be part of the process. But I will get someone to come back to you on that next week, Councillor Horton.
Thank you very much, Phil. Can you ask him if they do ring me, just as a personal matter, can you ask him to ring me after 11 o'clock, because I have caring duties for Roger?
Of course I will, no problem at all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just to complete my comments then, Councillor Ahmed.
Yes, before you come in, Phil, we got Babina.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick comment with regards to photographs, the use of photographs. From my own standpoint and experience, they play a vital role, because what it is, I remember at some stage I uploaded them and I just sent them to the officers. Yeah, within the next day they had attended to the concerns. So I think it goes case by case, and let's also respect the importance of using photographs. To also explain, to bring about clarity on issues that we deal with on day-to-day basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Babina. Yes, Phil, I think before bringing it, for last comments, I think it is good that we'll be moving to council portal. I think it will be beneficial for everybody, not just for the councillors, but benefit for the constituents as well. At least we can pick up the caseworks, we know where it is and how far it's gone and what happened to it. Previously, there's some issues has been raised up by scrutiny boards as well, as I mentioned earlier on. And I think it's a good way of moving forward on this. And just on other pieces, as I said, we are, as you said, Artemis training, other trainings are still going on. And as all members, I think we all need to pick those up slowly, one by one. And I think we need to encourage other members as well and colleagues do as much as they can. And it doesn't have to be, you got to finish everything in one day, but try to log on to them and try to do so much as you can. Just as half an hour, 1 hour, whenever you can. And I think that's the way forward. At least we'll be learning something. At least it'll be good for our constituents as well. And so we can help and support them in any way. Phil, down to yourself.
Thank you. Just to conclude then, and again, a huge thank you to all the members that have taken part on this committee and all the other members who've taken part in the portal pilot. Encouragingly, the feedback that we had from all of the feedback comments that we had back averaged something like 4.7 out of 5. So that's not bad, really, if you think about, that started off as about 3.5, and due to all the improvements that we made during the pilot, that concluded as 4.7.5. But I do take Councillor Hughes' point, is that it is a huge step forward, but it's never going to be a panacea for all ills. The portal will do as much as it possibly can do, and obviously when we do launch it next year, there probably will still be issues, and it's about managing councillor expectations with regards to what those issues are, but having a system in place that can report far better than we've ever had to be able to respond to inquiries, etc. But also having it, of course, a governance arrangement that Civic and Member Services will be in charge of, that will look at making sure that the system is being used efficiently, effectively and equitably. And I think that's all we can promise at this stage. And the portal will be a movable beast. It will be something that will be improved on at regular intervals, but of course at some stage you have to launch it, I think, and you have to launch it with a few foibles, and hopefully they'll get corrected over time, but it will be immensely better, as many members are saying today, than probably what we've had in the past. But thank you very much all.
Phil, before you go, just there was a question, what sort of time scale you got to launching the portal?
It's featured in the report, but the pilot did conclude on the 27th of November. We're now in the process of taking any lessons learned, making sure that we consolidate the strengths, make sure that we build in those areas for improvement that the members have insisted that they need. We're looking then to start testing those improvements probably early in the new year. What I'm aiming to do with the support of this committee is to try and reconvene the pilot group members at an early stage, because they've used it before and they can compare what was there to what's there now. If Councillor Bostan's happy, I can then include you in that as well, Councillor Bostan, from early in the new year, because that will give us a sort of fresh pair of eyes on it as well. And then we're looking to start the pre-portal launch training around about February time and start a phased approach, because I don't think it's going to be very healthy to have all 68 members that we've currently got launched immediately. I think the key will be to phase it over a period of time, so the portal then starts to get launched fully over February and March. Councillor Horton.
Councillor Horton, Linda?
Yeah, it's nothing at all to do with the report, Chair, and I hope that Phil has actually finished, but can I say that I do understand that there are issues in members and civic services at the moment with illness, etc. But can I, for myself, not on behalf of the committee, but for myself, can I thank you and all the members of civic services and member services for what you're doing in this extremely tough time. And I'm sure you must be looking forward to having a couple of days off Christmas. So really enjoy it if I don't speak to you before. God bless you, Phil. Thanks.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I think that goes for all of us. I think there are, we know at the moment, Neil is at the moment is not well, and a few others. So there is a bit of issues there, but hopefully, thank you for your support, for supporting everybody. I know when I send an email out, always from yourself or somebody replies back always. So that's good. Thank you very much for your advice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Very good weekend. Just stay with us so you can carry on.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Moving on to item agenda number 7, register of members' interest annual review. This is something we do annually. Sergit, can I ask you?
Yes, Chair. It's the annual report. It's just really an opportunity for you to have the opportunity to look at the register, pick up any particular issues that you feel need to be addressed, and at least we have dedicated one time during the year where the committee has turned its mind to the register itself. As you know, it's going to be discussed as part of the review. I think session 3 is a spotlight session where we talk about members' interest. We are looking at the way in which our CMIS is currently operating. We're exploring other options with a potential other case management system to see whether or not it's more viable. There's better functionality in the other systems, the ModGov system, for example, which enables members to update their register themselves. That's functionality doesn't seem to be with CMIS. So we're constantly looking at how we can improve what we have, and this is one area I think we will look at not only as part of the review, but also then look at going forward. So I'll bring a further report and some more details about that. We're looking at hopefully providing some broader conversations or discussions with members around the current functionality of CMIS and potential options around that. So look out for a briefing session on that particular issue in due course. But it's really an opportunity for the committee to consider the register, any particular issues that you may have. But as I say, we'll have a probably more detailed discussion as part of the session 3 engagement session.
Okay, thank you. Just my question on that. So do we need to improve on this today? Vote on this to say, be happy with it as it is a moment until review takes place?
It's entirely up to you. We can record issues now if there are any particular pressing matters or issues that members want to raise. Otherwise, we can, as I say, have a more detailed conversation as part of the engagement session.
Okay. Any comments or questions regarding any review on this members' interest? Barbara?
Yeah, well, we got a good officers and Democrat officer and others as well. They always try to remind you well before time. So I don't think there is any problem. You never know what happened in the future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. Well, as the Sergio said, we will be reviewing all these register of interest and others, code of conduct and everything else. And this present moment, I'd say everybody's happy with this as it is. Register of interest, and we're happy with it at the moment presently until the review takes place and new settings, rules, regulations apply in a new year. So can I just say everybody happy with that? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah? I think we're all right with that. Yes, I did. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
You can make a note of that. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to item number 8, gifts and hospitality. Can I ask you to present the report, please?
Yes, Chair. This is again one of your standing items. As you know, this came about as a result of one of the recommendations from the Committee on Standards in Public Life that there should be a regular review of gifts and hospitality registers, and therefore we put it now as a standing item on all your committee agendas. And it really is just a standard report, nothing really to report other than to confirm that there has not been any new entries on the register since the last time that you reviewed this register, which was on the last occasion when you had a meeting. And so there's nothing really to report in relation to gifts and hospitality unless there's a wider point or issue that members wishes to raise on the subject matter.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions on this? Guys, we all happy with this? What Sergio said? Just a reporting, that's all it was. No, everybody's quiet on that. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yes, we are happy.
Thank you. Okay, where we gone? Okay, item number 9, complaints update. Can I ask Sergio to present the report, please?
Yeah, Chair, I will ask Maria to provide the more detailed narrative, but this is again a report that we bring to you at your meetings. It provides a summary of current ongoing matters that are subject to investigation and a very brief summary on any matters that are essentially still being addressed. And the committee members previously wanted more details, particularly around conclusion of investigations and the timelines that we anticipate matters will be concluded. I think there are some concerns by members as to the time taken for certain matters to conclude. So you'll see in the appendix more details in relation to time frame and timeline. Just want to make the point that as part of the arrangements, we do allow for the maximalisation process, more colloquially referred to, but essentially it's where we allow up to 14 days for comments to be made on draft reports. And so that does obviously have an impact on the timetable, and that's why it's referenced there as consultation draft reports, which is part of the arrangements that we have. So if you're happy, Chair, I'll hand over to Maria just to walk you through the summary of complaints that we have in broad terms, and then we can take any questions at the end.
Thank you. Hi, Maria.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Sergeant. So you'll note here for starters that we've got 13 active matters. Since completing this update a week and a half ago, we've actually resolved another 2 of those matters. So we've resolved items number 8 and 10. Investigation is completed and the matters have been fully resolved. I'll just briefly take you through each individual matter. So the only 2 historic matters are matters 1 and 2. We have got an anticipated completion date on the first report of the 7th of December. Like Sergeant says, we've got that consultation period that has to happen for maximisation. So we're anticipating a final report to be completed on that matter around about the 8th of January. The dates follow identical for matter 2 as well on the completion dates. I'm going to take you through all the detail of it, but it's quite detailed on what we're able to provide here on the actual matters themselves. But obviously, if you want to ask further questions, then you can. Matter 3, this is again complaint. Obviously, they all hit this year after the first 1 and 2. So matter 3, we're anticipating a completed draft report around about the 11th of December to allow for maximisation in the Christmas period to drop into that. The final anticipated report is due on the 8th of January. You'll notice an action there where further action if required, and that's to be confirmed because obviously that depends on the result of the final report and the monitoring officer's decision on it. Matter 4, so this is one of the COVID-related complaints that's come in. We're anticipating a draft report on this one of around about the 15th of January. This one has taken a little bit longer than anticipated, and this is due to really circumstances totally outside of the investigators' control. Where we obviously get these circumstances arriving, it could be due to witnesses, representatives, or the subject matter member being unavailable. We obviously push back and do everything possible to get the matters back on track and dealt with. But the anticipated report on this is falling into next year. So we're looking at the 15th of January for a draft report, and with a final report hitting around about the 5th of February. Matter 5 is linked to matter 4. So again, it's another one of the COVID cases. The timeline falls very, very similar. So anticipated draft report on that one again, 15th of January, with the final report being completed the 5th of February. Case number 6, we're close on completion for this one. So draft report is due in now. We're in the process now. We have a final anticipated report on the 23rd of December. So this one's looking at closing down this year and what we're getting to next year. Matter number 7, again, anticipated draft report is due in now, 3rd of December, with a final report the 23rd of December. Matter 8, as I've said, has been resolved. So we've had the draft report and that's completed. Matter number 9, so this one again we're looking at concluding before the end of this year. So we're anticipated final draft, we're looking for the 23rd of December. So it's another one that'll be closed down before we move into next year. Matter 10 is another one that's been resolved. So we've had the MO's had the final report and made the decision, and that one's closed and dealt with. Matter 11, so this is a much more recent complaint. This one, preceding one in investigation, we're looking at an anticipated draft report around about the 15th of January and a final report to hit by the 5th of February. Case 12, similar timelines again. So this one was only received October. The investigation is progressing well, and anticipated draft reports 15th of January with a final report of around about the 5th of February. And then we just have one outstanding matter which is linked to one of the cases above, which once concluded, this one will be able to conclude and move forward on. That's so that our update. You'll see a number of the matters are due to conclude, and we're looking at the majority of what we've got at the moment being dealt with by the end of this year and February at the very latest on drafts.
Thank you for that. I think it's Pete had his hand up. Peter?
Just to ask, you've mentioned that case 8 and case 10 have been closed. I assume that the determination there has been no further action, or is it's not to be brought to the committee? Is that the case? Yeah.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. The other question is obviously you've got the anticipated final report dates on each of these, and forgive me for sounding thick. It's the next stage that happens with that. I assume that with the final report having been drawn up, it's then submitted back to this committee, is it, or does it go to
No
committees? What happens?
What happens under the arrangements? Once a final report's received, it's then submitted to the monitoring officer, who makes a decision on whether or not there's a breach. The matter can then be dealt with by way of local resolution, advice and guidance, or referred to this committee for a hearing. So that's the stage that then happens. That's usually a fairly quick stage, and that's exactly what's happened with case numbers 8 and 10. So we had a final report on that, which was submitted to the monitoring officer. No further action was required on that. So obviously, at the end of investigation, there isn't always a finding of a breach, and if there is, then that's the route that they will take effectively.
Just to add on that, we do have situations where even if there's a breach, it's sometimes, and if the outcome being sought from the complainant, for example, is an apology, it may be such that the subject member, upon being notified that they have been found in a breach, they can resolve the matter through local resolution where the complainant is simply seeking an apology. The arrangements are sufficiently flexible to enable that to happen as a satisfactory conclusion to the matter, rather than referring it to the standards committee for hearing. And there'll be obviously other matters, depending on the aggravating nature of them, that it's appropriate that they are considered by the committee.
Yeah.
So we'll only get to see or consider these cases if the monitoring officer decide that it needs to be referred to the committee for further consideration. Yeah. The only thing I would add, in relation to cases 8 and 10, you've actually told us that they've effectively been there's no further action required. I think that would have been good. Rather than me having to ask today, it might have been good to have had that in the body of the report. Whether that was the case when you drew up the report, I don't know.
No, it wasn't. It's changed in the last week and a half. So
basically, if I can just, those matters concluded as of yesterday.
Oh, sorry, I do apologise. So yeah, I can understand. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you for that. Anybody else got any questions?
Sure.
Any comments on this? No, I think everybody's quiet. Thank you very much for that, Maria. Sergeant, I think, yeah, I think this is the last item on the agenda. Before we start closing, please, what we're going to do basically at the moment, this present moment, now, when you conclude the meeting is going to be live stream, is going to be finished, and can all members please, and even independent members want to stay as well, and so we can go through the consultation, and we can give you some brief update on that. I think that's the way forward on that. If I'm right, can I do that, Sergeant? Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So Trish, first of all, this includes today's business. Can I ask everyone for attending? Thank everyone for attending. Next meeting is scheduled for 5th of March. And thank you everybody for participating. And if all the members, please, if you can live stream, can go off and we can go to the training session and we'll take you from there. Trish, can you let us know, please, when the live session is up?
Thank you, Chair.